Hello, my dear souls. I hope you're all doing good. Here we are for this new moon of Gemini. So we've had the full moon of Sagittarius with already the sun in Gemini and the moon in Sagittarius. And now we have them both close together in the sign of Gemini in the very last degrees. So this happens on June 18th, exactly 36 minutes past 5 a.m. And it happens with the sun and the moon conjunct at 26th degree of Gemini. So we have this, I've spoke about what Gemini means and what it brings. It's the sign related to the mind, to the intellect, to intelligence, to the apprentice, so the curious child. And now we have the sun and moon together, and they are connected almost precisely with Neptune in Pisces. So we have this connection in between the mutable signs, these two mutable signs, and mutable signs, they basically bring the need to change, to be constantly moving, to adapt, to be flexible. But here we have, because we are having a square in between both, so it's a dynamic aspect that requires a little bit of adjustment. The need to do things or think about things in a different way, with a different perspective. And here we have the Gemini sun and moon, so basically this intellectual and rational side very vivid, also because we have the ruler for this new moon also in Gemini, so it's in its house, in its home, let's say, and its home environment, so Mercury is here, and it brings this rational side of the mind and this analytical side of the mind very, very, very strong in us. But then we have Neptune in Pisces, which is also the ruler for Pisces, increasing all the topics of Pisces, which are spirituality, which is the connection to intuition, the connection to something that is not visible to this world, but we know that it can also bring the shadow side of this, which is illusion, which is fantasy, which is escapism. So we want to bring about the best of both and try to find a way to combine both, or to take the best out of both. So the sun and the moon in Gemini, of course, it requires this adaptability, the need to speak about things, to speak about what we are feeling, and to bring that to communication, to open communication, and to bring a little lightness and curiosity into it. And with this connection to Neptune in Pisces, we basically just need to be aware of the possibility of increased expectations or increased illusions about those conversations, or about what the reality of things. How am I seeing things that are actually not real? And how is that affecting the way that I'm communicating with others? So I need to bring a little bit of clarity into this, and also bring a little bit of compassion and empathy to the way that I'm communicating, because sometimes it's hurtful, or it's painful what I'm feeling, and I want to also bring some space to it, because usually Gemini try to keep things in a superficial layer of the topic, and sometimes it's there's the need to go a little deeper than that. So it requires this empathy and the courage also to bring the difficult conversations, or to bring a little bit more sensitive emotions to the conversation or to the interaction, but still not falling into not falling into the trap of the drama of Pisces, or of this fantasy, or this need to escape reality in some kind of form. So they're both representing duality here. So it's not one thing or the other. It can be complex, but we need to make it simpler, the simpler as we can, but still addressing what is sensitive and what is the reality of the topics there. And we have this Mercury, so the ruler for this new moon. We have it also in a very positive aspect with Venus, which is in Leo, very close to Mars. And Venus brings also this need for this loving energy, for this need for harmony. Of course, it's in Leo, so it's a little bit more vivid. Again, vivid, I think that's the word here. But brings especially the joy of connecting with people. Even though sometimes those connections are actually not the ones that we were expecting to have, they always teach us something. So it's also about bringing this curious approach of the child of Gemini into the play, and just try to understand what can you learn from the experience, and still bring this compassion, this empathy. And there is also another topic here that I think it's very interesting to this new moon, which is Saturn is entering its retrograde movement exactly this day. And as I said before, Saturn in Pisces brings this need to bring things down to earth. All the topics of Pisces, so spirituality, intuition, this connection to something that is beyond sight, to bring it, and of course also the topics for compassion, the topics for this love of every single being, to bring it to responsibility, to bring it down to earth, and to reality, basically. So what does this mean? Being in a retrograde movement, of course, it increases this need to be a little bit more real and concrete with your spiritual practices, to be more responsible about it. And I connect this with also this loving language that Mercury connected to Venus also brings. This is how do you actually do that in an interaction with any kind of being? How do you actually put that in practice? Because it's not about the meditation, is not about the crystals that you use, is not about the yoga practice. It's about the daily practice in the real world and the connection with other people. So how do you do that? How do you actually put that in practice? So it brings that need for commitment to that. Of course, it's not that those practices don't matter. They certainly do for your own well-being and the ability to be centered, so that can overflow to everyone that is around you and every single being that is around you. But still, you have to understand what is that you can bring also to this moment that is challenging. How do you put those things in play when the moment is challenging, and when a connection is challenging? So how can you do that for yourself? How can you be compassionate, and how can you be empathetic with yourself, but also with the other people? And of course, bringing this flexibility, this joy of just being connected and learning with the connections that you establish with other people. because we also, as I said, we have Venus very, very close to Mars. They will kind of, they have been doing this dance of like being very close, but not really coming to a conjunction, and they will not come to a conjunction in Leo, but still they're very close, and of course they increase the power of Leo for the next 3 months. So it's, well, at least with Venus there. But so this can bring also the topics of needing attention, because both Venus and Mars, when in Leo, it can bring about the shadow side of Leo, which is controlling. It's very bossy. It's very arrogant, and it can be the one requiring to be the center of attention. So this can also come if there are some kind of insecurity, some kind of lack of love for yourself, and of course we all have certain moments that we feel that, but just pay attention if you actually are doing that constantly, and you are projecting those needs onto others. And you're trying to demand the full control of the situations onto others as well. So this will be a less harmonious aspect of this, or a less harmonious side of this aspect. So just be aware of that, and be mindful of that. The other topic that I wanted to bring is about Mars. So Mars is, besides being very close to Venus, so we have this Leo power very strong, and it's in the direction of an aspect of a very positive aspect in my perspective, with Chiron, which is in Aries. So it's ruling this Chiron in Aries. And Chiron in Aries basically is the wound related to our identity, to our autonomy. It's the wounded warrior. And having the warrior, Mars, in the sign of Leo, of course, it brings a boost of confidence, or a boost of this need to control and to be bossy. But still, in this trine, in this harmonious aspect, I think it can actually bring the strength to go beyond the wound, to go beyond the pain or the suffering, and actually be able to see it as the strength, as the situation or the moment of your life that actually can make a difference into the way that you approach your life. So it can be a source of strength, actually. So it can help us turn that story around. So I think it can be very, very positive. But right after that, it actually encounters Uranus in Taurus on a square. So again, a dynamic aspect, again, a need for some kind of adjustment. And when we are speaking about Mars and Uranus, they both have this need to act and the need to act boldly. So Mars is the warrior, but then Uranus is the revolutionizer, and the one that seeks for freedom and to equality, and so it fights for something bigger than the self, than the ego, which is usually connected to Mars, especially in Leo. So of course here we may face some kind of situations where we want to go our way, and we want to be able to control the situation, and something external comes to remind us that it's not about us. It's not just us and the play. And our actions and our decisions have some kind of impact on the people immediately around us, or to the planet, or the way that we use the resources, because we are speaking about Uranus in Taurus. So it's bigger than us. And we have to have that kind of understanding. And so maybe here we are going to face some kind of frustration of wanting to see things going in the direction of our ego, and not so connected with our hearts. And so this can create some kind of frustration. When we actually tap into our heart self, then maybe we can actually access this wisdom of making things not just for us but for the collective, and to bring this the freedom into the play, and the respect for the freedom for each person or each living being having the right to prosper and to live a long life the same way as we do. So this is an aspect that can also bring a little bit of friction for this cycle. And then I'm going to end with this aspect between Jupiter and Saturn. So Jupiter, which is in Taurus, and I know I said that this Jupiter in Taurus would be about to being grateful and to appreciate the wealth that we already have, and maybe some of us are have been able to do that, but what we see in the world is that actually inflation is increasing and prices are going rocket high, and it's not the way I expected, at least. But hopefully some of us are able to actually do that and still be very appreciative of everything that we already have, and manage our resources in a smarter way, and seeking for longevity and not just for the immediate pleasure. And I think here, with this connection to Saturn, this can also be a very good moment to do that, because again, Saturn brings us to reality and brings the responsibility of our actions and of our choices. And on one hand, of course, it can bring also the need for power and the need for control, basically, to set the rules. But Saturn in Pisces is having a kind of a different approach to basically the way that we are dealing with our spirituality, with this connection to everyone around us and to every living being, and the way that we say that we are empathetic, and the way that we say that we are compassionate, and maybe not being. And so all the practices that we do and all the all the rituals that we have to prove that we are spiritual or whatever, and that maybe are not sustainable, or maybe are not actually supporting this sustainability of everyone for the planet, basically. And we can, of course, in this spiritual world, we kind of see lots of practices that are not sustainable, because we put the focus on what we have or what we don't have, that enables us or that limits us in being compassionate or being empathetic or being spiritual. And it's not about what we have or what we don't have, be it the course or the incense or the yoga mat or the yoga pants or whatever. It's not about that. It's rather about how do you put that into practice when you're, when you're in your garden, when you're dealing with your loved ones. How do you actually bring that into reality, into day-to-day life? So maybe this here can be a moment to moderate our consumption, and to understand what really makes a difference, Yeah. So yeah, this in my perspective, this new moon, of course, brings this need for moderation, but also to flexibility, and to mainly to just be this child, this curious child that is not afraid of asking questions and of questioning things, even if they have been done in the very same way for many different people. Not being afraid of question it and try a different approach to it, and we can bring that into the play here, and to also moderate the way we speak and the way that and our choices of consumption, basically. So this is my perspective on this new moon. I hope it's useful for you, and also, if of course you want to know exactly how this is playing out for your specific life, so for your chart, of course you need to know exactly which planets you have where, and of course you can do that in a much easier way with the help of an astrologer like me or anyone else that is around you, and I hope you can seek for that support. So enjoy this new moon. It's summertime here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I hope you can enjoy this vibrant and joyful energies of Gemini and Leo. See you very soon, and bye-bye.